And I believe this to directly relate to the plastic water bottle conspiracy.
Like, seriously? They'll find any reason to say it's Illuminati.
Wake up, America. Don't be a sheep.
These guys are absolutely ridiculous.
So dumb.
I can't believe people believe in this stuff. Like, seriously? They'll find any reason to say it's Illuminati.
Oh, Miley Cyrus has an eyeball tattoo. Illuminati confirmed.
Doritos are triangle-shaped. Illuminati confirmed.
The three of us are still awake, but Erica's still sleeping. Illuminati confirmed.
You don't really get what we're doing, huh, Sean?
No.
It's okay. Don't worry.
Wait, who's Erica?
Oh, it's just our other roommate. Don't even...
Good.
and my co-host D, of course.
Okay.
So we'll try to keep things quiet on our end from here on, unless you address us.
Okay, will do. Thank you, sir.
Not a problem.
Good
evening, all. Marshal Jeremy Copley, Custody County, Colorado.
Good evening.
Muted.
Anything before the call starts? DW? I've got us muted on their end right now.
All right.
Kyle Gray.
Hey, if you want to talk to me, you want to talk to me.
Incognito, got it.
No, I had to set my for the open broadcasting software, so I would transmit. I had to set the virtual audio cable to be the primary sound device and record device.
All right, that works. Well, that's because there's nothing on the stream right now.
I know, but I won't be able to hear it because it's all the virtual audio cable.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Just trying to figure out how I can still get in on it.
Watch the live broadcast when I send you the link.
Judge DW on the call.
Oh, shit.
Very good.
Hey, DW, you're on this end.
Very good. We got one more minute before I turn on, and hopefully we got some more coming on. I've got some, as usual, some announcements to make and things to go over, and then I'm going to open the floor to a special guest tonight, and then we'll be taking some Q&A because I know there's going to be a lot of Q&A going on tonight. But I'll go all over that in just a few minutes. Get a few more people on here.
You haven't started the stream, have you? You started the stream already. Turn it off for a second.
DW, if you'll just make sure that when I turn the recording on, that we don't have any, that, you know, the mute's there so that we don't have any background noises or anything until it's time for Q&A.
All right.
Unmuted.
That's what I'm talking about.
Damn ringtone. I gotta beat that out.
Muted.
Oh my God.
You don't want that on live recording, okay? You don't want any gummy bear dances or anything, birds chirping or sirens going or anything like that when we're live. Okay. For now, I'm going to work with what we got. I'm fixing to turn the recording on, and I'm going to ask everyone to mute your phones until it's time for Q&A or unless you have a question after I yield the floor. Also, if anyone is speaking, wait until they yield before you bust in and try to say anything or ask a question or whatever. That's just giving respect throughout the floor. So I'm fixing to turn the recording on now.
This conference is being recorded.
Okay. Everybody, welcome to the Marshals Call, October 18th, 2016. Few things I want to go over first before we open up for our guest speaker and before we open up for question and answers. I know there's going to be a lot of that. One, we've had a lot of marshals packs, judge packs, organic oaths, everything. I would say this, in the last 4 days, 400 emails have gone out so far. A lot of those have come back in the process of being recorded and filed. So it's just been jumping leaps and bounds, and it's very exciting. A lot of our information is getting to people that we didn't even know was getting the information, which is an awesome thing. The people are being educated, which is very important. I talked to Justice Troy the other day, and on the national database, this is going to take a week or two because he's having to do all the codes, and to put these codes in, if anybody knows anything about networking and about these sites, it takes a while to put these codes in. But right now we have home and marshals. But on our national database, which is lexsuprema.net, and we ask that everybody, go register and donate, because that fund goes to the Marshals Fund. There's also going to be a section that's going to be added for judges, a section for investigative administrators. There's going to be a members-only section for the judges to be able to post for me and some other marshals for upcoming details. They'll be able to tell how many marshals they need for those details, and then we'll be able to pull from that database and see who can go to details and who cannot. There will also be a section to where if you've, got a recorded oath and you are a member, then you can download any documents or PDF files that we have. So that national database is fixing to be wide open with many different things, which is going to help on a very large scale instead of just people going to people's Facebooks or emails and trying to download PDF files and not knowing what to do, because I see a lot of problems with people are getting the instructions and they're getting the oaths, but I don't know if they're not comprehending the instructions or if they're just needing clarification, but that is what is holding some of these oaths from being recorded. Now, another thing that has happened is that when you send your recorded oath to the common law grand jury administrator in Denver, Colorado, or to Byfield, like I said, make sure you have a return address on it. I kind of think it's embarrassing when I have to have an administrator call me and say, hey, can you, give me their address, because they didn't put a return address on it. And they can't get you your paperwork back and it be, lawfully recorded if you haven't, done everything correctly by putting your return address on there. Another issue is I actually talked to, and this is a big step, but I talked to Bill Hewitt in Lamar County today. He actually called me personally on my phone this morning, and we were talking about the oaths, and we were talking about, I said, well, you're probably going to have a lot coming in from different states, and here's the reason why. Because a lot of their counties are not acknowledging these oaths, so they're not being able to record, so they're actually mailing them into you. And he said, I understand that. And he said, he said, I'm doing what our codes and statutes say that we have to do. He said, now, know that when they send an oath, he said, I record it in the land jurisdiction miscellaneous record. He said, but it's not scanned through a database. He said, now, if one of them sends me an affidavit of a status or something like that, he said, then it will be scanned in a database. He said, but as far as the oaths go, he said, that's just public acknowledgement that it is recorded and that it is standing. So he and I had a long conversation. We even talked about the common law. We talked about the common law grand jury. We talked about the de facto. We talked about his position. We had a very lengthy conversation. It was very, very productive. Another conversation I had this week is something that needs to be brought up that, some of the judges and justices can help. A lieutenant colonel called me earlier this week, and he's got many in his group that want to be marshals, but their concern is with getting out of the system and correcting their status, how this is going to affect their pensions and their disabilities or, any of that. And I pretty much told him, I said, well, you have to look at it this way. I said, you paid that money into the system when you were working for the corporation. I said, therefore, they cannot hold those. That's your money. They can't hold that over you. And if they do at some point, then you can counterclaim that and just get it all in one lump sum. And he was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. He said, now I'm ready to get on board. So it's all in how, we present everything to some certain people, and that's some of their fear of why they haven't stepped forward, even though they wanted to and they've had the knowledge. I've also had the honor of speaking with a 69-year-old gentleman this week that used to be a signature analyst who is now in the process of wanting to be a judge or an investigative administrator in Pennsylvania. So we've got a lot of good things going on, and we need to continue on that path. And I'm sure you're going to hear the story tonight and tomorrow night about Jan, a lady that has already gotten out of the system, natural-born woman on the land that almost got kidnapped by state troopers in Wisconsin. Judge Mickey and Marshal Tom and myself helped this lady get out of that situation, and the troopers backed away from her and actually let her go, which was a very huge step. But there's one thing that's been bothering me, and specifically today, and I made a post on my Facebook about it, and I want to talk about it publicly here. And the reason why I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it in a professional manner like I always do, in a calm voice like I always do, but it needs to be said. We have a lot of people that are educating the people and letting them know the truth and letting them know that, we found the one sure way to stand as natural men and women on the land, and that's to get out of the system, whether it be our oaths that we take as marshals and judges and jurists and administrators, or whether it be an organic oath that we have, created to help just, the natural men and women on the land to get out of the system so that they too can, have true justice, liberty, and freedom with their rights. But we have others who are very knowledgeable and who educate people, but they chose not to take the path that we are on. And God bless them, and I wish them only luck. But what I've seen is a lot of people running to us desperately because you cannot fight the de facto within themselves. You cannot take a fight into the de facto and try to fight them against each other, because it's only going to backlash, and they're only going to allow certain things for so long. So some people are being, they're accomplishing some things doing that, but on the other hand, they are causing damage, a lot of damage. People are running to us, literally running to us saying, please help, please help, please help. And by the time they've got to this point, because they're not out of the system, they're not working under common law, they're not working in the court of records, there's not a lot that we can do. And it just breaks my heart that we can't do that. But, that's why you need to be very vigilant on who your circle is, who you're trusting your personal matters with, who you're trusting your family with, and who you're trusting your life with. And we know it's been trusted, it's been proven, it's been fact. The common law de jure government, the common law method has been tested It's been proven, and it's been factual. All of our judges and our justices have been working through the court of records under common law and have been winning cases left and right. They're not doing anything unlawful. They're not they're not after anybody. They're not being aggressive. They're not being vigilantes. We're not doing any of those things, and we are actually taking our rights back that were naturally given to us. But now for some that have chosen a different path, they are causing destruction, and they are causing people to actually lose their family, and some to even lose their freedoms. And, you know, that's why we vet like we do in the de jure government, is because we've got to make sure that we're not going to be or end up like the de facto is right now with all the corruption that's going on. You know, I talked to a county sheriff the other night because there was a domestic violence case right next door to me, and you know, my son was kind of funny. He tried to educate her a little bit, and, you know, she was asking who he was, and he told her, and she was like, what's a continental marshal? And he's like, you don't know what a continental marshal is? And she's like, no. And so, you know, he was, you know, saying such or whatever. Well, I had walked out later, and she looked at me, and I told her who I was, and she said, oh, I know exactly who you are. She said, yeah. She said, yeah, they need to do something over here. I said, I know, right? It goes back to what I said on one of the other calls the other night. You have to have a positive rapport with anybody that is around you, even if they're de facto. Because when it comes down to it, and they really need somebody to have their six in a situation, and their other de facto cops are not going to be to their aid, then they're going to be looking to us, because they know that we're not against them. We're not out to get them. Yes, we hold them accountable, but we're not out to get them, and they know that. That's why you have to have a positive rapport with everybody in your county, in your town, in your state, anybody that you come in contact with, so, you know, that they know, hey, I can count on that person. You know, I'll call her, you know, and that's exactly what she said. And I was telling her about a situation. She's like, look, if you need anybody, she said, you need any help, you just call me. She said, and I got your back. Okay, and this is a de facto sheriff, a sheriff deputy, very nice lady. She said, if you need anything, she said, you just call me. She said, I got your back. And I said, cool. I said, and I got yours. And that's what we need to be about. We don't need to be angrily putting out in public, I'm coming after you, I'm locking you up, I'm doing this. You know, you can't do that. That gives you a bad reputation. That makes everything look, all the work you put into this, it just cuts it down right then. It just stops it. And people don't take you seriously, and then you start having all this infighting and backstabbing and arguing, and it just does not help the cause whatsoever. We are the people. We are coming together, educating ourselves, researching this information, getting our freedoms and our liberties back, our natural-born right back on the land. That is what we are doing. And we are educating and helping our other brothers and sisters, because we are our brother's keepers. We are helping them do the same thing. We're not doing it in an aggressive manner. We're not doing it in a destructive manner. You know, I've said this from the beginning of time. Your word is your bond. You stand on that oath with integrity, professionalism, and in awe of what you're representing.
Charles Haywood.
And you do not back down from that. You stand on it with authority, but at the same time, you say what you mean and you mean what you say. If you say you're going to help someone or send a team to help someone, then you do it. You don't say you're going to do it and then later find out from other people on the ground in that area, no, they didn't show up. They didn't come help. That's what we don't want to be. And that's what I see in other organizations or other networks. I don't really don't know how to say it. How they're handling the law and their interpretation of the law, and it's actually hurting people. People are literally losing their families over it because they're not going at it at the right way. They're not doing the correct things. They're not getting out of the system. They're not standing on their rights, their liberties, and their freedoms, and because they haven't been educated to. They're being educated in a totally different way than what we are educating people in. So I just want people to be aware of that because it's very important. And when I have, families coming to me in near tears because their whole family has been pulled apart, their children have been taken and put up for adoption, and they can have no contact with their children whatsoever because they were told to do things in a wrong way, in the wrong course. That hurts me because it's just not right. It's just not right. Humanly, it's not right. So that's why I wanted to say that publicly on the air, is because I know a lot of people listen to this. They listen to all of our calls. We have more people listening to our calls than y'all can even imagine that hit me up, either email, text message, or by phone every day. Every day. I heard your conversation the other night. I want to know more. I heard y'all's conference the other night. I want to know more. I want to be educated. And they're sponges. They're thirsty for this knowledge, and they want to be a part of it. But they have to be a part of it in the right way. So we can't say...
Marshall Haywood, can I interject?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, this is Marshall Townsend over in Texas. And let me just say something that's happened to me this last week by dealing with the courts and the clerks and all this. I went in the first time, and it was pretty... it got pretty heated, I'll just tell you that, because I couldn't get them to understand, okay? And so I left, and I went home, and I'll be honest with you, I literally got on my knees and prayed and said, Lord, how do I do this? Because why are they not understanding? And God said, Randy, they don't understand what common law or case law means. They don't understand the definition. So I literally copied it down and put it on paper, and I went back down there and gave them case law and all the definitions of it, and where it says that it precedes all other laws, statutes, or codes. And I handed it to them, and I said, I don't want to talk to y'all about this at all. I want you to read the truth. I want you to research it yourselves, and I will talk to y'all in a day or so, and y'all have a good day. And I left. It kind of hit them differently in the fact that I actually took the time to print it out for them to spell it out, because I don't want to start filing charges on people constantly. That's stupid. But we also want to educate.
Right.
And so if we start doing this in a way that we give them these definitions, which we expect them to know, and I'm telling you people, they don't know these terms. It's like foreign to them. But when you give it to them in plain English on black and white, they start to grasp, oh, that's what case law means. To them, case law just means something else because they follow codes and statutes. They don't understand that case law supersedes all those codes and statutes. And
right.
That's where we have to start educating them in the proper way, because I'll be honest with you guys, I'm famous for getting hot. I just am. When people don't understand the truth, it bothers me. And when I try to explain it and they don't get it, it bothers me. So I've had to calm down with this, to be very honest, and say, hey, look, I need to start educating instead of getting mad that they don't understand me.
Right.
And I yield.
It's a very good point. Very good point. And that's why, I said that when I talked to Bill Hewitt in Lamar County today, he and I had the conversation, And he was like, at first he was trying, and this is exactly how he did it. At first he was like, well, you know, I just follow codes. I said, I know you follow codes and statutes. I said, but you're also following the law because you're recording these oaths. And he said, yes, ma'am. And that's exactly how he said it. So there are people that are awake and there are people that don't know. They're not awake. So that's when we do have to calm down and settle down and say, hey, look, take this to another level, you know, woo-ska, whatever you need to do. You know, we need to educate them and say, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I need you to record this, and this is why. And you're giving them proof. You're showing them, because a lot of them don't know. They're following commands blindly as puppets, not knowing what they're doing. They're just following commands. Your average deputy out on the street, he is just following commands. He has no idea what he's doing. He doesn't even know what he's working for. He's just earning a paycheck to get a pension. He has no idea. None. So that is a big part of our duties as Continental marshals, judges, administrators, is to educate. Because when you educate and they get more knowledge, then they're like, oh, okay, light bulb, no problem. And everything is so much smoother and so much easier, okay? It just really does. Okay, with that, I'm going to yield, but I'm going to call Michael Hamilton to the floor. Michael Hamilton, Justice Hamilton, are you on?
I'm on.
Okay, go ahead, sir. I know you won the floor.
Okay, before I get to the information that I think is pretty critical to discuss tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you just talked about, because I kind of feel like I need to clarify myself now. Everybody who knows me now knows that I'm like the attack dog who wants to go after the traitors amongst us, and I do. But I want to clarify for the record that I do not believe that all government employees are bad. As a matter of fact, my belief is, having been a government employee when I was in the Air Force, I think the vast majority of them are extremely loyal and patriotic. Most of them are loyal to the Constitution, and as has been pointed out on this conversation tonight, do not know that they are exceeding their jurisdiction by forcing their statutes on the people. And that's why I always, like myself, try to educate. It's when we educate and they refuse to abide that it becomes a problem. But Randy's doing an awesome job in Texas, and as is obvious now. But anyway, the issue I wanted to talk about tonight was, it came to my attention that some marshals are resisting sending their oath to the chief marshal. And that's an issue. That's a serious issue. The first issue we have with any marshal, any Continental marshal, refusing to send a copy of his oath to the chief marshal, is he's showing his lack of discipline for following the chain of command. That's a bad sign right from the get-go. The second issue I have with that is Continental marshals, just like the Continental judges, have jurisdiction in each and every state. Every single state should be able to verify that that is in fact a Continental marshal, and we have to have a central place to go to for that. As a matter of fact, that central database, Chief Haywood, you were speaking about tonight, should have a means for people to go view that oath to assure it has in fact been recorded. So I heard about a conversation wherein somebody thought it was okay that a marshal not send his oath into the chief marshal. And my 2 cents is that's not okay. We need every single marshal to have his oath. Just like any other government agency, there is a central office for that government agency. Right now, that's with Chief Marshal Haywood. And that's where every single marshal should have his oath filed, whatever his feelings may be. If he's not willing to file his oath with the chief marshal, he doesn't need to be a Continental marshal. This is not something that this is not something that the assembly should be able to decide, because the assemblies, each state assembly only has authority within its state. The continental marshals are nationwide. The continental judges are nationwide. And as such, they have to have their oaths on file in a central location. If they can't follow that one simple order, we don't need them. Anybody who's been in the military knows. Anybody who's been in the military knows you got to be able to follow the chain of command.
Point of order. This is Judge Doucette.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, let me correct you on a couple of things that you said there.
Okay.
Now, just that we're all honest and righteous about everything that we're doing. Now, every state is a nation unto itself. So, if that state wants to choose to do something different, or even if people in that state want to, just like we have Ronnie Davis in Florida that wants to do his intercontinental marshals thing there, they have the right to do that, and we cannot, we can't interfere with that, with their free will to do that. Now, if they want to be part of the program that we are doing, then everything that Judge Hamilton said is correct. You know, if you want to be part of this program here and you want IDs and badges from what we are doing, then you have to follow the rules for the Continental Marshals that we have set forth. And with that, I'll yield. And, you know, I wasn't trying to cut down anything you were saying, Judge Hamilton. I just wanted to clarify, okay?
Well, no, exactly, and I agree. But I'm referring to the Continental Marshals, the ones that are getting the IDs and the badges from the group that we're involved in. We are serving as the national government, or I should say the United States of America's de jure government, okay? As such, we are essentially serving as the central government in those limited capabilities given to us by the Constitution of the United States of America. As such, anybody who wants one of those badges, then by all means must do that. If an assembly wants to have something limited to within their realm, sure, you're right. They do have that authority. But those marshals don't get called outside of that state because they have no jurisdiction outside that state. Their jurisdiction is limited to the state within which they swore their oath. If they want to be a continental marshal for the United States of America, in that situation, they must send their oath in to the chief marshal and follow the commands from the chief marshal down the chain of command. And we have to make sure that we are strict with that.
I'm going to correct you again, okay, on that. You know, any state can bring forth marshals that they have control of, and they have jurisdiction to go get any of their people in any other state. We can't take that away from them either.
Well, I disagree.
Well, no.
Because remember, each state is essentially its own nation.
Right.
And if we're going to operate within the union.
Well, just because, you know, every state has the choice of doing things their own way. And just because they choose to do that doesn't mean that we don't work with them. And if they have one of their people in one of our states, then and they have broken the law, they do have the jurisdiction to go get them.
There's an extradition procedure that should there's an extradition procedure that should be followed for that.
Correct, as well as with our marshals.
We can't look. It's like this. We cannot send even one of our continental marshals to France to just go grab somebody.
Well, we actually can.
The same thing here.
We try to. If it's one of our people, then yes, we can. But we try to work within with the French government and say, okay, this is one of our people. We're here to pick him up. But any other state can do that with their marshals that are not part of our program, and if they have the jurisdiction over that person, then you know they can grab him.
Okay, you're talking about grabbing somebody who fled the state, essentially, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
But you know,
okay.
we're really splitting hairs here, and I'm not trying to do that with you. I'm just trying to make sure that the information that we give out is correct. We can set up our marshals program. It can be nationwide. Somebody else could turn around and do the same thing, and their marshals program could be nationwide as well. We can't interfere with that. So don't think that this is the only game in town. If we do that, then we're trying to be just like the government and make rules that weren't given to us. Okay?
Oh, I was under the impression that we were, I'm sorry, I was under the impression that we were reestablishing the de jure government.
Well, we are with the de jure government, but other states can choose to reestablish the de jure government any way they want. Each state can. Now, we're trying to, as we set our counties up and set this all up so that it will work uniformly. But, you know, one state can come back and say, well, no, I don't agree with what they're doing or how they're doing it, and they have the right to do that their way. Each state, it's its own nation. We cannot forget
Exactly.
that, okay?
That was my point. That was my point. And there is a central government that has a limited amount of jurisdiction over all of those states. And my understanding was the continental marshals and the continental judges were that government, or part of that government. We don't have
that is what we're trying to establish, and you know, in each state, as they come aboard, if that's what they choose, then they are part of that. Okay.
Okay.
So you are partially correct in what you're saying. So I'm not trying to cut that down. I'm just trying to correct it. That's all. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
As do I.
Okay, I think, and I want to be a buffer in that. I understand where both are coming from because we've all had issues in the past couple of days. What Hamilton was trying to say, Bruce, was that if you are a part of our de jure government, then, you know, in order, just like you said, Bruce, in order to get your credentials, then you will have to follow our process. Now, if you don't want to be a part of our process, then you can, you know, fund and do your own thing. That's your choice. But if you want to be a part of what we are doing, then you do have to follow what our plan has been put forth. And this is how we do it, and this is who we contact, and this is who's doing this, and this is who's doing that. That's what Hamilton was trying to say. And I think you were trying to say it too, but you were a very good job.
You did a very good job of stating that.
Yeah.
So
it's like, you know,
completely correct.
Right. If we got a state that says, okay, we're going to be, you know, marshals and judges, and we're going to have our common law in this state, and they don't want to participate in our de jure government, then by all means, no, you know, don't get in touch with me to get your credentials. That's your choice. But if you do want to be part of this on a national level, then that's the step you have to go to get your credentials. That's just like, you know, Byfield sent me information. Everybody has done it. But if somebody chooses that they don't want to do it, then that just shows that they're not going to be put into our national database because they're not part of our national de jure government because they have decided that they didn't want to take that step to be in that national system. And with that, I yield.
I concur. No, you.
Q&A session started.
This is Q&A session. So I'm going to open this up because I know some people had some questions. They needed some answers from some judges and justices. So I want to let everybody have a chance to do that because we've had a lot of questions this week. We've got a lot of new calls that have been added on because of a lot of questions. So if you have anything that you want to ask, please come forward. Now, DW, when I do this, I'm sorry, do I need to not do that when they do that because I can't hear him?
Q&A session is over.
Q&A session's over already?
Well, no, I tried to do it and it wouldn't let anybody's voice come through.
Oh,
It was.
You mean it really wasn't dead silent?
It was dead silent, and I was like, okay, what did I do wrong?
I thought
Because
nobody
I
was
was
asking
like,
a question.
okay,
I thought I'd jump in and ask it. I have a question, a real short one.
Okay, go ahead.
How many people are on the call right now?
Unmuted.
I'm still in 39
If
at
I
the
may,
moment.
Awesome.
if I may, this is Toasted.
Yeah. Hey, Toasted, go ahead.
I believe it's *62 to get into the queue.
Well, you know what? We'll just do it here.
It's *6.
No, it's not *6. It's *62. There's another number besides the 6. I've done this before.
Well, you know what? We're just going to do it here. I'm not even going to worry about it.
Okay, I yield.
Okay. So, any questions? Go ahead.
This is Troy.
Muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi. Just wanted to give an update and some concurrent. I agree in the matter of having the oaths of the continental marshals and justices on record for anyone to see in the public, and that we also need all of the administrative controls. We had talked briefly the other day, Marshal Haywood, about adding a forum that is in process now.
Yep.
Also, I'm trying to get reasonable tools to function properly that would allow us to have private video conferences, but only up to about 10 people until we can manage to get some kind of budget to help with that, because it would actually take a business license investment to keep that going with more people have a video.
Unmuted.
Basically our own Skype kind of utility that's built right into LexSuprema.net. So anyway, things are rolling along. Things are going good. Just wanted to kind of give you all an update, and I don't want to bore you all with details, but it's coming along well. And hopefully we'll be flying pretty nicely by the first of the month here, or that first Monday in the month anyway. So that's all I got for now, and I'm looking forward to hooking up with you, Marshal Haywood, as soon as possible to just share some time together, maybe half an hour or something like that, and go over some things. I'm sure you've got questions, and I know I got questions, so let's try and do that when we can. So.
Okay.
Well, thank you, and I yield.
Hi, man.
Yes, go ahead.
Who?
It was a gentleman.
Muted.
Go ahead,
Larry?
Go ahead.
Okay, Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a few questions. I want to. I do like the chain of command since I've been in the military, militia, and all that good stuff. I do agree. If we're going to be in the continental marshals, that we do follow the chain of command. I'm trying to clarify. I know that you're Chief Marshal, Marshal Haywood. Who chooses those chief marshals, and who is the chief marshal for Texas? And should we also send that oath to our chief marshal in our state? And like I said, who chooses that? Now, is it, like we used to do, where we all come together and say aye, we raise our hands and pick that person, or is it done by the judges?
Statewide, it would be the assembly members or the jury. The jury members would all get together when you have an assembly meeting, and they would decide and vote on who they wanted as chief marshal over the state. Now, when we get bigger and we get to counties, it'll be the same thing. Each county will then convene as an assembly and decide, and vote on who they want to be chief marshal over that county. And then you'll have your state chief that'll be over the county chief. And then you've got the national chief. So that's pretty much how that works, if that answers your question.
Yeah, answers part of it. Okay. Do we have a chief marshal for Texas?
As of right now, no, we do not.
Okay. So there's more qualified folks than I am for sure. In Texas, obviously, but let's say countywide. Right. Countywide, I guess I'm the chief since I'm only one in Dallas County, but I just wanted to find that out if it comes to that point where we elect that chief marshal for Texas, and when it does come to that point, send that out to everybody so that we all know, and we can send our oath to that individual too as well. But I don't have a problem sending you my oath. I don't.
Yeah, you can do that. The only reason I asked for them is because I handle the national database.
I am awesome with that. I'm on board with that. I think that makes it much easier. For your job.
I mean, I don't have a problem with like the chief of Texas state, to have a copy of all his marshals' oaths. I think that's a good idea. But if they would still, to be in the national database and to be on that public national database, they would all have to, unfortunately, come to me so that I could have them, put into that database and make sure that when, one of our judges in another state who doesn't have the number that Texas does, and they need to pull some marshals from Texas, then I can go on there and look and say, well, we got, 25 in Texas, I'll put the call alert out and see how many marshals can come to that detail in, Colorado, right, on that date. And so it just makes it easier and an easier flow instead of saying, hey, can you go? Hey, can you go? No, yeah, no, yeah. It's more of an organization type thing. Does that answer your question, Larry?
Hello?
I think we lost Larry. Did we lose Larry? Okay. Somebody else want to have a question?
If I may.
Yeah, I do, Marshall
Haywood. Marshall Dix, you came in first, and then Townsend. Go ahead, Marshall Dix.
Thank you. On the chief marshal issue, if and this is just for I guess our own personal information, and maybe you can all help us with it. For the ones in Utah in the assembly meeting so far, they have opted not to have a chief marshal.
Hello?
Okay. Hold on, Larry. Go ahead, Marshall.
All right. I just want to let you know I'm back. I had an emergency. So.
Okay, that's cool. I'll get back to you in a minute then. Okay, go ahead, Marshall. Well, if the assembly has voted not to have a chief marshal in the state yet, that's fine. That's fine. Because if they have a concern or on a national level or whatever, they're going to come to me anyway. So, I mean, that's up to each individual state whether the assembly and the grand jury wants to elect someone as chief of the state. That's totally in their hands. Nobody can, go in and say, well, no, that person's going to be over that state. That's the same thing with your oaths. And I want to stress this because there's been a discrepancy in this too. Where your oaths are concerned, if you do something that's negative and not upholding your oaths, then the attention will be brought to the grand jury and the assembly in your state about that marshal. And that grand jury and assembly are the ones that have the jurisdiction of doing anything, pulling that oath or reprimanding that marshal or whatever the case may be. That state grand jury and assembly are the only ones that have that power over the marshals in that state. And I hope that clarifies things up. But now, if that state assembly and grand jury decides that at this time they don't want to elect or vote on a chief marshal, again, that's their discretion, and that's fine. As long as they get all their marshal oaths to me and I get them in the national database, that's all that matters because they're there. And I hope that answered the question.
It works. The other question I have is on the vetting process that we've had issues with here. We have the topic come up in our assembly meeting that there needs to be a vetting process, and their recommendation is that in order to be a marshal in Utah, they want the marshals to at least be able to pass a background check and be able to apply for and get a concealed carry permit. I would like your input on that. Go ahead.
Right off the bat, your common law assembly is not acting according to common law. And to common law, there are no statutes, and you cannot be required to have a concealed carry permit. You can't straddle the fence. You're either in common law or you're not. Straddling the fence is what gets you arrested and gets you jailed in a de facto prison. You're either common law or you're not. The assemblies require, not only that, somebody may not be able to pass a background check because he smoked marijuana and got caught and is listed as a felon. In common law, if there is no injury, there is no crime. And as such, we don't consider felons who did not cause an injury to be a felon. If the felon did in fact cause an injury, that's a felon, that's a disqualification right there. So I think your assembly, you might advise your assembly to rethink their position. If you're going to the de facto and asking the de facto, may I have permission to carry my firearm concealed? Why would you be doing that if you are in fact the sovereign? Sovereigns don't need permission. I yield.
Okay, and on that note, you're saying that if a person has been convicted of a felony, even though it might have been an injury, where it caused an injury to somebody else, that they're no longer eligible to be a marshal? Or does that mean that if they've paid their dues and they've paid their penalty for that, then that's all over and said and done?
Well, it would depend on what the felony was. If it shows, if somebody doesn't have control over his temper, that's not something that we need to have in the marshal service. Because if he can't control his temper in his personal life, how can we depend on him to control his temper when he's carrying out, when he's performing duties on a detail?
Or
but I think that's a disqualification in my book. Like I said, I agree. And this is my personal opinion now too. My personal opinion is, if the felony was due to the commission of an injury, I believe that should be a disqualifying feature. If it was due to driving while inebriated or got caught with cocaine or whatever, that's not a disqualifying issue because no injury was caused. As sovereigns, I get to decide what I put in my body and what I don't put in my body. So long as they're not doing it when they're on a detail, that might cause somebody injury, it's not an issue. But in common law, if there is no injury, there is no crime. And we've got a case site that says that exact thing. So for there to be a crime, there must have been an injury. I yield.
If I may.
Yes.
I think my case scenario would be a perfect example about what Mr. Hamilton is talking about. I served in the military. I have an honorable discharge. I was a correctional peace officer for the state of California for 12 years. I found out the truth and got out. 2 years ago, I took some classes from some people that were teaching how to discharge debt per United States Code, per the House Joint Resolution 192, that we are allowed to discharge our debt. Took a blank check, took a check from a closed account, wrote on the back of it, for discharge of debt only, not for deposit. Did that for a friend of mine for a Toyota car. They sent him the title. Then they arrested me, and I was convicted of a felony. There's no injured party. Toyota absolutely lost nothing. In fact, they repossessed the car. There was absolutely no injured party, but because I did not know how to defend myself at that time, I now have a felony conviction per their standards. Now, what Mr. Hamilton was saying, like, look, wait a minute, There's two laws of the land. There's the lawful system. There's the legal system. I can show you case law. I can show you. Under the laws that when you put a gold trim on that flag, you now change that jurisdiction of the court to admiralty law. The law of the sea. It is absolutely a military court. That's the court that they convicted me in, and now I'm learning a lot more. But I think the point Mr. Hamilton was making, like, look, that disqualify me. There's no injured party. They railroaded me, and it's all about the money. They create bonds. The judge makes money. The state makes money. Everybody makes money. I yield.
May I?
Yes.
The way I look at the whole felonious action in the Continental Marshal deal is, you know, back in the day, if you were a bad enough person that you were going to be a danger to society or that you didn't need any kind of firearm, they simply hung you, you know, and I don't think we got that kind of people applying for the marshalship. Now you.
But at the same time, when you were let out of prison, you were given $20, a horse, and a firearm. So at least you were allowed to have that.
Absolutely, debt paid and a way to protect yourself and provide for yourself. You know, unless you're going to continually be a persistent danger to others. I'm sorry. Yes, unless you're going to be a consistent danger to others, you know, you should always have that right to protect yourself, to provide for yourself, regardless of your action. And if, like I said, if the case was that you were that bad of a person, you should have just been hung outright.
If I may?
Yes.
And in response to that, I wanted to clarify, when I say that somebody, you do have a point. I don't believe that because somebody made a mistake, he should forever be banned from having a means of protecting himself. I just think that the Marshal Service should have at least a standard. I mean, we have to have, for the Marshal Service, and don't get me wrong, I'm not even a marshal, I'm a judge, so this is really up to the Marshal Service. But, you know, this is all for a matter of discussion, and the more discussion we do, the more ideas come out, and the more, you know, problems are solved. But the Marshal Service is going to have some kind of standards. There has to be a line someplace that it says, we'll take everybody up to this line, but nobody who crossed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if somebody has habitually lost his temper, we don't need them losing. I got a pilot license. One of the things they stress most is it's utterly important for pilots to not have a bad temper. It affects a lot of different things when somebody loses control of his temper. You can't control your temper. You don't need to be in the position of having some kind of authority over somebody, which is the Marshal Service does. The marshals are going to be sent out to arrest people. And we can't have them doing what some of the de facto police officers do now, smashing in the windows on a house because they suspected somebody may have possibly committed a crime, but we don't know what that is. We'll smash all the windows out of the house instead of knocking on the front door. And I yield.
And I agree. And that's what we've, you know, put in place. And with, you know, respective to each state, like I said, you know, the vetting process of the marshals, they have to take in consideration of what was the offense in the de facto system. And, you know, you can't just say, and like Hamilton said, and I do agree with this, if you're out of the system, you cannot force someone to get back in the system by getting a concealed carry permit, because that's what you're doing. There has to be another way that you can vet, and, you know, any of us can pull a background on anybody. All of our judges have the capability of pulling a background on anybody within a few minutes. I can pull a background on anybody within a few minutes. Anybody can pull a background on anybody. They've made it to where now you can, if you're dating someone or you are fixing to go to work for someone, you can pull a, background check on those people to see who you're working with or who you're dating. So that is a starting point. But you cannot, as common law, the de jure government say, well, the only way you can be a marshal is if you go get your concealed carry permit, because you're actually getting back into contract with the de facto when you do that, and that goes against everything that we are. And with that, I yield.
Marshal Haywood, this is Craig. This is Craig in Illinois. I sent you a message on Facebook the other day about locations. You sent me a decryption application thing that I think you wanted me to use. Is that also good for satellite images that I send to you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Yes.
Marshal Haywood?
Yes.
What was that website again?
Which one?
It was like LexSuprema.net?
Yes, it's Lex, L-E-X.
Okay.
Suprema, SUPREMA.net. And we're asking everyone, and actually DW has put it on his website. He's actually adding the donating button to his website as well, because until we can finalize funding, our funding comes from donations. So we've had some very generous donations from Doucette, and I've had a couple other people say, hey, look, here's some, and they just put some in, and it tells me exactly who put it in, how much they put in, and I can, anytime a grand jury wants to know, okay, well, how much is, to be accountability, how much is in there, I can say, this is what's in there, this is what it was used for, because it'll even show up your debits and credits. It'll show what it was used for, and it itemizes everything. So all that is accountability. It's all legit. Everybody always, at first was having a big thing of PayPal, and we now know that the founder of PayPal just actually donated millions of dollars to Trump, which of course we're not voting, so it's no big deal to us, but it is a big deal if you're wanting to the credibility of the company that we are going through using our funds. There's no taxation on there. They do take like a service fee. I think it's $1 when you donate. They take $1, to cover their overhead or whatever, but that's it. But it is a credible way of funding our marshals right now, and that's what we need to be concentrating on, because we're going to have detail. We've got details, and we're going to have more details, and we're going to have a way to fund some of the people that are not able to finance themselves to go to those details, which brings me to the other, question that's been going on this week, and me and DW and a lot of other people have been in this conversation. When we're getting out of the system, and a lot of us are reliant on what we've paid in through the years and what we're getting, in disability or benefits or whatever, we can't afford right now until our de jure government completely can stand on its own financially. There's a lot of us that can't afford to go to Texas on a detail or to go to Tennessee on a detail. So these funds, when you donate, these funds help those marshals that cannot afford to do so go and be a part of these details and stand on their oath and do what their responsibilities and duties are. Now, if you cannot donate, one of the suggestions I got from somebody else who's not even in this system or in our de jure government said, why don't you, get a sponsor or a backer, with our fundraiser, and that's what we're doing with the T-shirts. That's actually a fundraiser thing, and David Edwards is going to be getting with me in the next couple of days to know exactly what we got coming from this first campaign of shirts that we had that just went out. that will be deposited into the Marshals Fund. And then we're fixing to start up a new campaign here shortly with more shirts, ball caps, which will be part of the uniform that'll have the badge on it, just like the shirts do. And all those funds go to the Marshals Fund. And that helps with filing fees for some that can't file. That helps for IDs. That helps for financing their travels to go, to the details to do their responsibilities and duties. So, again, I know I keep pushing it, but, we can't do what we need to do if there's not funds available to do it. So, if you can't afford to donate, then, put a fundraiser together, get a donor, get a backer, get a sponsor. People do that every day. That's it's no different than what the Cub Scouts and the Girl Scouts do. They go out and sell cookies to raise money for their organization, even though they're a really legit organization. The Cancer Society does the same thing. They go out and put on 2K, 5K runs and charge, to be in the race, and that goes towards, scientific study of the Cancer Association. So this is no different. You can still do that even though you're out of the system. And as, natural men and women on the land, you can still get people that are your peers to back you or sponsor you financially and put into this fund to help with the Marshals. And with that, I yield.
May I?
Yes.
There was an issue that was brought up earlier, and I forgot. I wanted to address this. Something that you think you brought up in your opening comments. As Bill Fortin has confirmed, and that's where I learned it from too, as a sovereign, just because you are in a contract doesn't mean that you give up all of your rights. So if anybody who is retired military and has a pension, getting out of the system doesn't mean that he gives up his pension. That was a contract he entered, and he didn't give up all of his rights to enter that contract. That's actually confirmed in the Hurtado case. I can't remember if it was Hurtado v. California or Hurtado v. U.S. I can't remember off the top of my head. But as a sovereign, you can decide what contracts you will enter and what contracts you will not. And just because you enter a contract doesn't mean you waive all of your rights to do so. So there is nothing lost by anybody on disability or a pension by proceeding according to the common law and protecting his sovereignty. And I yield.
And I'm glad you brought that up because, like I said, I had a couple of veterans that, got with me and wanted to be Continental Marshals, but they were afraid that if they got out of the system, there's that fear word again, that they would lose, their pensions. And I was like, no, that's something that you paid in. So you're not going to lose that. I said, and if you do lose that, I said, you can counter. I said, and you'll probably get a whole lot more than what they're paying you every month.
Have them call me, Marshal Haywood.
Exactly, I will.
Okay.
For any of them that's listening tonight are going to listen in their future. I'm a veteran. I'm on disability. My marshal's oath has been filed. I've also gotten my straw man in my possession, and they don't touch my disability, so it's not really no worry about.
Yeah, that's what I told them. Because there's a lot of people that have to be on disability because of Medicare, Medicaid. They have medical issues. They have to be on it. So there's nothing. And actually, I've got a girl, a lady, a nice little lady, that is going to be sending me codes and statutes of theirs that even state as much. Because my son, for example, was on disability ever since he was born. When he became an adult, they took his disability away from him, even though he has a genetic disorder, just like me, that can end in death. There's no cure. So he has to have treatments, but they denied his disability and took him away from his disability. Well, I've got hands on a way of their codes and statutes where I can go and say, no, you can't do that. So they will have to put him back on disability, and even though he's out of the system, they're still going to have to pay him disability. that's not going to waiver any of that. And if they try it, then like Hamilton said, there is another way that we can go after them to get that money, and they'll just have to pay it in one lump sum instead of paying you monthly payment. And I yield. Got any more questions?
If I may.
James Parks, Greenville, South Carolina. I'm not a marshal, but I was on the call last week.
Yes, sir.
And I still want to become a marshal here, but I need to ask questions as I have questions. And do I just go through you, or is there other marshals that I can talk to and get answers or that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, you can talk to other marshals if you want to talk to other marshals, but the final step is actually going through me, because I'm the one that gets you all the information you need for your oath. If you want to, confer with some of the other marshals and ask them questions, I don't have a problem with that. I, say yes, go ahead and ask them questions. But more or less, 9 times out of 10, they're going to send you to me anyway. Even the judges, they're going to send you to me anyway. They'll answer your questions, but when it comes down to your oath and recording your oath and getting your credentials and all that, they're going to send you to me anyway.
Okay. You did send some paperwork for me to read over, like 4 different batches. One is the oath, the other one is, the rules and regulations of becoming a marshal. I read through that, and et cetera, et cetera. So is it just a matter of just, doing the oath and then I just move on and just start learning? Because I've never had any military or anything like that behind me, so.
Well, that's good. That's good that you haven't. And a lot of us have either had, some of us have either had military or militia training,
right.
Or, but there are a lot of civilians that have not had any. And it's actually good that you haven't, because then we don't have to rewire your brain. And I don't say that in a bad way, but
no, you probably need to rewire it some.
I mean, some militia and military men, when they become marshals, need to be rewired, because the way we do things is not in a militia or a military fashion or style. So our training is actually the training. We've got a couple of federal Native American marshals that have, I've got 3 so far that have sworn in oaths as continental marshals. So they actually know the steps and have been training and trained in the steps of, how to arrest someone, how to confront someone that you're fixing to arrest, how to transport them, how to stand with them in court. That's the training that the marshals will be getting. So that training is in the process right now.
Okay, so really, and just to make it real quick, all I need to do is just be ready to take the oath, which I've read through, and get off the get into the common law side, get off the matrix.
Yes. When you take your oath, and that's pretty much what we talked about last week. When you take your oath, you're actually getting out of the matrix. That is your final step.
Really?
Yes, it is your final step. That is taking you out of the matrix. But there are other things that a lot of us are still wanting to do. Whether it be doing your double authenticity of your birth certificate, taking back that right, taking back your living status. So there's still some things that, you might want to do, but as far as getting out of the matrix, as far as getting out of the matrix itself, your oath does that. Because on that oath, it says it states on that oath, you're not a U.S. citizen, you're a natural-born man on the land jurisdiction, and you are swearing your oath to the people to uphold the Constitution and your oath and to protect and serve we the people and the common law. That is what your oath is saying. So that oath takes you out of that's exiting the matrix. But there are other steps if you want to do it that we are all doing. You don't have to do them, but we are doing them, and we will teach you how to do them.
Okay, good. So it just seems like I'm kind of a hurry up. Okay, so really it's okay. So how often do you give the oaths? Do I go to you and say I want to do my oath? Do you do it once a month, twice a week?
I do it every day. I give out 40 to 50 a day. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I gave out
Really?
400 last week.
Okay, I bet you that's all you did last week too.
That's all I've been doing for the past month, sir.
Holy
From the day I get up to the time I go to bed, yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
So
just make sure he understands he can download his own and do his oath and then just send it to you. He doesn't have to have any witnesses.
Oh, okay. I got a recorder on my phone, and then I can take that recorder and send it to Haywood, right?
No, sir. Actually, you'll download the package that she'll send you. It has
She
all
did.
the
I get that.
instructions. Okay, it has all the instructions on it, and all you have to do is in front of 3 people, read it in front of them, swear, and then sign, and then those 3 witnesses sign, and then you send it. Do as instructions and mail it off.
You do it in red ink. You do the right thumbprint and ink over the first letter of your name. Your 3 witnesses will do the same thing, and then you record it in your county, which is the court of. When you go to the clerk of superior court in your county, you tell them that you want to. If they don't have a land jurisdiction court of records, you tell them you want to record it under miscellaneous, which is the same exact thing in Lamar County Court. Verified that with me today. You tell them you want it recorded in miscellaneous. Now, if your county for some reason or your state won't do it, like I'm seeing in California and a couple in other areas, they actually send me, after they get their witnesses and they get their thumbprints, they'll donate to the LexSuprema.net webpage. Then they will mail me their oath, their original oath, where they've signed it, their witnesses have signed it, their thumbprints are on there, and I will record it for you here in Clayton, in Spalding County or Lamar County, and then I will send it back to you, and then you can get your certified copies to send it to your Secretary of State and to the common law and grand jury administrator.
Okay, cool. Thank you for I yield. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's Marshall Townsend.
Yes.
I got a question, Marshall Haywood. I just want to make it clear, and maybe somebody else has heard word or whatever, but once again, I've talked to you about it, but let Judge Doucette and everybody else know that I've tried to get in touch with the lady that's in charge of the detail that's supposed to go to Lubbock, Texas, and I have yet to get a call back from her, and I left a message yesterday at 12:31. So I don't know what's going on. I have no clue. So if anybody can ever clue us in or get her to get in touch with me, I left her my email and my phone number and yet to hear anything. So I'm clueless. So I just wanted to, update everybody, let everybody know.
Does anybody know any of the judges here? Have you heard from Jules or know anything about Julian? Is this case
unmuted?
Active in Lubbock County? Yes.
Yeah, this is Tom. I've got pretty contact with Jules. She's just really, really, really super busy with Ryan Bundy's case. So just, keep trying to call her, be patient. When I call her phone number, I do get through occasionally, but she's just super swamped. Matter of fact, I've been helping her with some paperwork, and it's really tough to get a hold of her, but just keep trying. I yield.
Well, the one thing is, I don't want to bug her if she's that busy. I mean, do I need to call and leave a second message? I mean, I don't want to bug her, but I want to get the message through.
So, it's important. What you're doing, she needs people there, so it's very important you coordinate with her. Just keep trying. I'm just letting you know she's just really busy, but absolutely, she needs you there. She needs you there. So
I will keep trying to get in touch with her then. I yield.
Okay. You got any more questions?
Yeah, sir. This is James Parks in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yes.
I just wonder if I can get a couple of marshals' numbers that I can start talking, with, if that's okay. You can say it over the line, or you can send me a text at 864-907-2216 if you'd like. Thank you. I yield.
This is Marshal Jeremy Cosley, Custodial County, Colorado. James, you're more than welcome. Call me anytime, 720-998-5666.
998.
Yes, sir. 4421.
44 what?
21.
21.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's 998-4421.
And the prefix is 720.
20. Thank you. And your name is again, real quick?
Jeremy Costley.
Jeremy. All right. Thanks, Jeremy. I thank you.
If I may?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's why it's so important that all of you make sure that Chief Haywood has your current email and phone number, because any of us should be able to go to lexsuprema.net and look up the phone numbers for other marshals and communicate with them. Marshals, judges, whoever. Right now it's marshals, but yeah, make sure that Chief Marshal Haywood has your contact info so that it's on that website, and you can reach out to other marshals there. I yield.
Okay. Yeah, Lex. You said lexsuprema.net?
Yes,
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
Okay, I got it.
lexsuprema.net.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You.
Okay.
Got it.
If I may.
Yes.
Hi, this is Troy in Oregon. On the lexsupremaweb.net website, to view the marshals list, you must be a user of the system, because that determines whatever you're able to see or not, right? Because we're going to have a public interface, but also a back-end administrative office for the marshals and everybody to coordinate with. So when you sign up, let's call it, with the system, please provide accurate information. That it's private information that only the marshals, justices, and jury administrators will ever have access to, unless otherwise permitted by the individual. I mean, if the individual is okay with having their phone number listed publicly, that's one thing, but we've got to be able to control all of that type of data at a very what's the word I'm looking for? Minute level. So all of that's going into place. But in any event, I'd really like to, I'm going to keep it short tonight. I'd really like to thank Toasted and Revolution News and Information for the wonderful and invaluable services they're helping us through their provision. I would also really love to thank Marshal Haywood, Justice Doucette, and Michael Hamilton tonight. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I yield.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I think it's very important that you register at lexsuprema.net. You know, and at one point, when we're able and we got the codes, because like I said, it's going to take time, but there's going to be, you know, everybody's like, well, I don't want all my information public. It's not public. You have to register, and there will be certain areas that you can see and certain areas you cannot see. And at one point, we are also going to have it to where your oath is actually having to be listed on that site, that only, you know, the administrators and the grand jury and the judges and the, you know, chief marshal can actually see your oath and know who you are. But that won't be all public. All your information is not public. There'll only be certain things. Now, all the marshal members can go in and see the other marshals because they're all, you know, oath holders. So they'll be able to see the other marshals in the other states, and if they want to reach out, then they can. Go ahead.
One thing I'm concerned with on your website is security. I'm worried about somebody breaking into it. But if you'd get with me later, I have a suggestion on somebody who can secure it, and I yield.
Toasted, this is Troy.
Yeah, this is Toasted.
And I'm the developer of the infrastructure. And so I would be happy to talk with you. And your email address is revnews@gmail.com?
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome. I will send you a thing, and you can ask me anything you care to about the infrastructure. So,
I would also like to give you my phone number.
Sure. Can you email that to me, please?
Yeah, send me an email and I will reply to it. And
all right, it is T as in Thomas, W, E as in Eric, L, F, H, I, N as in Nancy, D, I, at lexsuprema.net.
Could you give me that one more time?
Sure, it's TWELFHINDI at lexsuprema.net.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And I yield.
If I may.
Yes.
Which one? I was 2 seconds ahead.
Oh, go ahead. There was like two at the same time.
I'm just going to make a short statement here. For all of you using public email service like Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, and whatnot, none of your information at all is private. If you would like to have an email address at freecountry.com, that's free also. Send me a request. It's not something you can just go sign up for like you can on Gmail and all that. You got to send me a request. I'll set you up, send you an email to your old email address on how to set up your email clients and access email for a free country. And your information won't be shared with the NSA and the CIA and all that.
Excuse me, and why'd you leave me out on that loop already? It's been months. Justice Hamilton, I'm going to get on you for that one. I said, and you left me out of that loop for a while.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. But now, say it again.
I said, you left me out of that loop for this long?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Well, now you're in the loop. Everybody's in the loop now. If you want an email, you just let me know what you want your username to be in front of afreecountry.com, and I'll get you set up. And okay, you got it. I'll set you up tomorrow. I'll send you a temporary password with the instructions on how to change it when you log in.
Okay. Michael R. Hamilton.
Sir.
This is Judge
Thomas
Johnson on Colorado Springs.
Judge Johnson?
Yeah, Judge Johnson. I just popped in for a moment to see what was going on. Little dare give me a jingle, and she didn't have the right access code. I jump in here for 45 seconds. I'm already beyond impressed. Everybody and their brothers working together just throws me silly. And I need to get with you on having you at some point drop into our little lovely call on Wednesday evenings to blather for a while. Probably definitely not tomorrow night because that's already taken up by Judge Doucette and Roger Dowdell in Florida. But I definitely want to get with you. Let me drop you my so-called public email. I sent you one earlier. Apparently got lost in there.
Did you? Well, no. Let me tell you something. If I know you're going to send me one, I'll look for it. I get about 1,000 spam a day, and my email client is filtering mail that I have filters set up to go to a specific folder. So send me one again tonight, and I will scan my entire junk folder looking for it.
Okay, it'll say Michael R. Hamilton as the subject line.
You got it. Okay, you got it.
Okay. I'll drop you my phone number there. I will want to talk to you for as much as you've got available time-wise for conversation and bring you on the judges, marshals, etc. call and see what you've got going on other than all the stuff I saw on your website, which drops my jaw. And I'm an guy.
I thank you. I appreciate that. That's 26 years of research, and I've had to update it a few times because sometimes we learn more stuff, and so I go back and read. Every once in a while, I go read one of my old articles. I see one of my old articles and say, "Oh, I have to change this now."
Yeah, I know the feeling well because I get updated quite a bit by the Holy Spirit as well. So
there you go.
Definitely want to talk to you about that. Marshall Haywood, as usual, you're running a fantastic call. I'm an hour and a half late to the party, and already I'm blown away. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Judge Troy. Thank you, Toasted. Thank you, Marshall Haywood. You'll have a great evening. I'm going to get back to my nap now. Good night.
Thank you.
There you go. Good night.
Yeah, and if I may.
Yes, you may.
I just wanted to let everybody know that has their oath and on file. If they need a lexsuprema.net email address, send an email to 12hindi at lexsuprema.net and let me know what your preferred username is, and I will create an account for you, whatever that username is, at lexsuprema.net. And
now we have two secured email things for the republic, for this republic.
Wow.
Okay, so you can do mine then. Marshall Haywood, do it. I'll do both of them. I don't care.
All right. We'll get you all set up. Just send me an email with the preferred username. I'll create that account, and you'll get a notice once it's created, and then you can log in, change your password, and do your thing.
Well, see, that's exciting because then we get out of the CIA and all these seeing everything that we do. That's what we need to be doing. So I suggest everybody do that. Either you do Lex Suprema or you do a freecountry.com. You're more secure than you are with Yahoo and Gmail.
May I?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, James. Lex Suprema, I just made a new account, but it's under a Gmail account. So can can you look for a James Parks and then just create me one with that? That'd be great. I yield.
Troy, that would be your answer.
I'm sorry, so what you're asking, just so I'm clear, is what you'd like?
Did you say you were giving out, creating
you would like
private
an email address, jamesparks@lexsuprema.net, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
All right. I will get that set up, and you'll get an email from the system that lets you know that that's happened. It'll probably be tomorrow, but yes, I will work on that for you, James.
Yeah, and you're going to send it to what now?
Well, I'm going to send it to the current email address you signed up under.
Okay, good.
Get those changes, right? But then you'll be able to log into the back end of the system through your new email client, let's call it,
Great.
and start sending and receiving mail through that account. So.
Thank you, sir. I yield.
You're very welcome, and I yield.
Okay, somebody else chime in. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Judge DW. Can you hear me good? Can you?
Yes,
hear me
can.
good then? Okay, this thing's fishy. Here's Marshall Dixie. She wants to disclose some information regarding SS security.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
What I found is, now granted this is not a statute, but you can find in the 1934 Social Security Administration pamphlet, it does specifically say to get SSI, you must live in the United States or the Northern Mariana Islands and to be a U.S. citizen or national. So I figured I'd just let you know that.
There you go.
Specify national.
Okay, so that's the 1934 pamphlet.
Yep, 1930.
From the Social Security. Can you put that on one of the sites so that we can pull that off, or you can email it to me or whatever, and I can put it on, or Hamilton can put it on freecountry.com?
Yes, I will send it over to you.
Okay.
Great.
Good.
Excellent. I'd like that on the lexsuprema.net website as well.
Yeah. I'll send that to you, Troy, so we can put that on there too. Like I said, we're going to be putting, with the lexsuprema.net, we're going to be putting the, PDF files and different things that you can pull from to educate yourself and gather information to be able to do these things that we're talking about that everybody's, wigging out on, because we've got so many not stepping into this your government out of fear. So we want to squash that fear and be able to prove to them with written evidence that they're not going to be affected when they become a natural versus a U.S. citizen. And I yield.
If I may.
Yes.
This is Marshall Toasted. I registered for Lex Suprema. I yield.
Okay. Thank you. Marshall Townsend, I've also registered, so there we go. I yield.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, I got yours, Townsend, because it goes to my email automatically when y'all register. It goes to my email stating that you registered for Lex Suprema. So.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
When will we have access to it? Is there a certain portion, or are we not there yet?
We're right now. The only portion that we are able to see are when you become a member and you are an oath holder, a registered oath holder, you'll be able to see the marshals. But like I said earlier, we're fixing to add on, the judges page, the investigative administrators. We're going to have some open forums, some public forums, some closed forums, a section that has different the oath instructions, PDF files on common law, on the grand jury, on going from de facto to de jure. I've got all those PDF files. I've got to send those over to Troy, and he's going to be putting them on there. We've got a lot of things that are going to be happening on that website. It's
okay. Awesome.
In the process of him doing coding.
I understand completely. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I may.
Yes.
Hi, this is Troy. And I'm actually happy to have a whole bunch of services come online November 1st. And that's about as fast as I can work. There's going to be some honing the system down involved probably over the next 3 to 6 months. So I'm counting on all of you to complain or suggest or whatever you want to call it. There will be links on that site within the next couple of days where you'll be able to respond in various ways, like info@Lex Suprema or webmaster@Lex Suprema for any comment, suggestions, what have you. But that's all going to be happening over the next 2 weeks, let's call it, and hopefully by the first Monday in November, we will have a pretty functional system to have online registration so we can begin the personal vetting process through like an online communication medium, which I'm trying to get set up as secure, which hopefully will also be online by November 1st. So you can have face-to-face interviews with people who have sent in an application.
Awesome.
So it's all coming, it's just a lot of work, but it's going well. Things seem to be on schedule at the moment for November 1st, right around their launch. And like I said, from there on out, I'm going to rely on everybody's comments and suggestions on how we can make it what it needs to be for everybody. So, and I yield. Thank you.
And we thank you very, very much, Justice Troy, for all the work, the hard work that you put into this, and thank you so very much. And yes, you may.
My pleasure, and I'm delighted to help. And so it's one of the things I've done in the past that I still have done very recently and have been for about 20 years. So here I am. We're getting her done.
Yeah.
May I?
Yes.
Yes, this is Marshall Wright out of Davenport, Iowa. I registered at Lex Suprema. If you need any help at all with the web integration or anything like that, shoot me an email, or if you could contact Marshall Haywood, she has my contact information. I'd be more than happy to assist in any way.
All right. Well, for anybody that happens to be on the call that's working with us, if anybody has a background in the Joomla framework, it's a content management system, and how to work with that, please reach out to me at 12hindi@lexsuprema.net. And thank you, I yield.
And on that note, if I may,
yes.
I use Drupal for the content management system in a free country, so if there's any Drupal experts on the call, I could use help with that as well, and I yield.
If I may?
Yes.
What is that website address again? Lex? Is it LEX Suprema?
Yeah.
Yes, it's LEX Suprema, SUPREMA.net.
No, .net. Thank you.
Yes.
Yield.
And again, it's under development, so there's not much to see there, but it's coming along.
Okay, and Mike Hamilton, this is Little Deer, Mama Bear.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, hanging in there. Thank you. How are
Good.
you?
I'm exuberant, always.
Good. I am not able to sign in to your site. I don't know why.
Did you get the activation email?
I didn't, and I sent twice, and I got the message that said I should be getting an email, but I never have gotten one. Yeah, and
did you see a link? Did you see a link to resend to resend the activation email?
Not the last time that not when I tried it last.
And your username on the site is Mama Bear?
Yes.
Okay, I'll check on it and I'll send you an email tomorrow.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. I yield.
And one more thing while I'm in here. Marshall Haywood, thank you very much for sending that document.
You're welcome.
The withdrawal. I was wondering, do you have any instructions that go with it? The one area that is a little unclear is where the brackets are for different things, where you put in the state.
Yeah, you put in your state, and I actually got some clarification from the California common law grand jury earlier, and she said that you don't actually have to record that I sent you. She said you fill it out and you get it witnessed, and you keep that on your person, and that acts almost like a passport would act.
Oh, okay.
So, but in all the brackets, you would put your state.
Okay.
Or
in
whatever
some places, it looks like you put it in capital letters, and then in other places not.
Yeah,
so.
no, you don't. No, you don't do it in capital. Anything that's in capital is what you are contesting, what you are showing no consent to.
Yeah. Okay, because there is one place on there, I think, that says, in brackets, it says your state, all capital letters or something. So.
Okay, I'll have to look and get with you on that one because I'm not sure which paragraph that's directing. Now,
and I'm sorry, that I think was on line either 2 or 4. I don't know if I still have it up. My computer, went into its connection thing.
Right.
And, yeah, it's been giving me a rough time here. So,
because that's
no, I can't see
a
it.
long affidavit, but like she said you do not have to record that, but keep that on your person. And because the one is you're the affiant. You're affiant in saying that you're living fleshly being born to your parents, and then you have the full and complete renunciation, denouncement, and withdrawal of all possible forms of consent from the historical beginning.
Right.
Right. And then the third is the withdrawal of consent, includes the withdrawal of consent from every known or hidden fraudulent and unconscionable agreement. And then it goes on, it says, on A on that is presumption of consent to the non-ratified and thus fraudulent 14th Amendment citizenship and fraudulent de facto corporate, in all caps, United States, and then it has quotes, all cap states, and state of corporate state, written all in caps, and that would be the United States, the state, and the state of, where it has the bracket corporate state, you would put the your states in all caps. So that's saying that you are taking that, you're taking that right back. So when you have that on your person and they see that, then it's pretty much like a passport would read. When it says write in all caps, like your corporate state, then you would write that in there because you're actually taking that consent back, saying I'm a living person, a living man or woman on the land, natural. I am not giving consent to you, even if I did so unconsciously in the past. I have rescinded that. I do not give you any consent. So when it asks you for the all caps, that means for the corporation. That also means the United States is a corporation. That means the state as a corporation, and that means the state of the corporation.
Okay. All right. I think so. I think I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't want to overwhelm you. I'd ask you, if I send it back to you, can you take a look at it? But I'm not going to do that, okay? Because I know you're over what you get.
No, you're fine. But like I said, that's just it's just pretty much an affidavit saying, okay, I'm withdrawing my consent. You no longer have consent. I give you no consent. I'm not part of the corporation. If you've done your organic oath, you got that.
Yeah, no, I think it's beautiful the way that.
If you got this affidavit on your person and it's already, you've got a witness to it, okay, because it says the state of and name of the state, county of, and it says name of county, and then you get a witness of your peer. You do not get it notarized. Because the notary is de facto. So in the place where it has notary, you would actually have a witness and do this in red ink, just like we do our other oaths. And the organic oaths, you would do it in red and do your red thumbprint because that is your seal as a natural, your thumbprint in red. And you keep that on your person, and that's just as good, if not better, than having a 4- or 5-star passport or whatever, because this is actual taking that consent away from every department of the de facto.
That's very
right. Now, the thing is that because it does include, it seems to include about every aspect of the fraud, I think, when I read it over a couple times. Yeah. It seems like, well, this might actually be a good document for multiple things, not just to carry on your person, but, dealing with the banksters or...
Yes, it would be. Because like in near the end where it says on number 8, it says to be abundantly clear to anyone able to read this affidavit. A affidavit has never been, is not now, not will ever be a purported 14th Amendment citizen of the corporate United States or of Article, I don't know that number, sorry, a non-ratified, untruthful, and invalid amendment to the Constitution for the United States of America. And then 9 is, it is averred by affiant that no man or woman of sound mind would ever knowingly agree to, assent to, authorize, or consent to such a fraudulent and unconscionable contract as of corporate United States, quote, citizenship. So that's what you're doing. You're totally taking it back from every department of the U.S. Inc. That's what the affidavit does.
Which makes me think that, well, is this document, does it pack too much of a punch where, it's going to cause an issue that way? Or is it something that we could maybe use, for different things that are going on in our life, whether it's, in my case.
Yeah. She said you could use it for anything that's going on in your life.
Because I would like to file it directly into my case.
Right. I don't see a problem with that because I asked her, I said, I know you say we don't have to record it. I said, but if I, did this affidavit and I, did it in my county and in my state, she said, that would be just public notice of the affidavit, but you still keep it on your person. And then, anytime you do have a court case, this affidavit would just add to all the other paperwork that you have, showing that you do not consent to anything, and that you are not a corporate
14th Amendment
United States citizen. You are a natural, and from the very beginning, that they have, everything was invalid, unlawful, null and void, and that's exactly what it says in line 7.
Well, that's what I wanted to do was find out, about everything so that tomorrow I can take it and file it in my case here.
Right.
If I may?
Yes.
I've seen quite a few of other people's cases that are very overcomplicated. When you proceed in common law, in your court of record, you are the sovereign of the court. You do not have to jump through their hoops to prove you're a sovereign because you are going to be ordering the state. That's why no matter what case you have, when you're being attacked by any agency in government, you are always going to name the state as a defendant. And the only reason you're doing that is because you're going to end your case ordering the state to remove you from its jurisdiction. So all the hoop jumping isn't required because the judge is not making decisions in your court. If you did your paperwork right, you're in a court of record, you never let the judge make a decision. If the judge makes a decision, you will overturn and vacate his order and submit your own correcting the record. So I would not recommend overcomplicating any case because it's not necessary. In your court, you are the tribunal of your court. And if your opposition demands a jury, which you can have, you don't have to allow U.S. citizens on your court because U.S. citizens are beneath us. People are sovereign. We cannot be judged by subjects. That'd be like the king being judged by his subject. It doesn't happen. So a lot of the stuff that your paperwork should look as much like their paperwork as possible because we want them to respect and acknowledge our paperwork. And if you look like a kook in court, nobody's going to take you seriously. And I yield.
And on that note, Justice Hamilton, if you'll look, I just emailed you the PDF, what we were just talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Because I want you to look over that too.
I will. I commonly incorporate some things into what I'm doing. It's not unusual.
Right.
I am always. Okay. Well, I'll look at it and I'll see. I have a pretty good free right of travel affidavit on a free country that I actually recorded with the Department of Motor Vehicles in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And I think that works pretty good. I got the sample from somebody else in Texas and removed all the citizen this and citizen that stuff out of there because I'm not a citizen, I'm a people.
Right. Well, that's what this affidavit does. It pretty much says, it just says it takes you out of everything and takes you out of that U.S. quote citizen thing, saying that you are natural. So this affidavit might want to incorporate because it's like.
I'll have a look at it. I just personally don't feel a need to do a lot of hoop jumping for them because I'm the sovereign in my court. If I have a problem with them, I'll take them to court and I'll take the judge's house and anybody else's house who was a problem for me after I objected to his jurisdiction. Right. You know, I have no problem protecting myself and protecting my rights. And I have a slogan. It actually says, "You have not lost your rights until upon learning what to do to protect them, you do nothing."
Right.
So I'll have a look at it because anything that keeps my job easier, man, that's why, as a matter of fact, I let my license tab expire June of last year, and twice I've been tailed by cops who obviously ran my plate, and I wasn't pulled over. I leave it up there anyway because I don't like being inconvenienced. I don't want to be pulled over to show them they don't have authority. I just let me drive down the road, and I'll leave something up there to identify me so they can run my plate while I'm going down the road, and they just leave me alone.
Right.
It's happened twice. It's happened twice now. So, yeah, but I'm always learning. I don't ever claim to know everything, and I intend to learn till the day I die.
And what is your name?
I yield. Michael Hamilton.
Thank you.
And what was your name?
James Parks.
James Parks?
Parks, P-A-R-K-S. I'm not a marshal yet, but I'm I'm getting there.
Okay. Come join us. I yield.
I plan on it.
Good deal.
Benson, did you ring in?
Yeah, this is Marshal Benson in Las Vegas, Nevada. I just wanted to chime in with what Michael Hamilton is teaching. I learned inadvertently from the same mentor that Michael Hamilton has learned from. However, I didn't have step 2. I had step 1, where you challenge the subject matter jurisdiction of the court. And we were doing very well with that here in Las Vegas and helping other people throughout the country. However, Michael contacted me on one of the calls and said, "Hey, listen, this is where you need to be with creating a court of record." Now, I instinctively knew that was the next level, because I knew these courts were not a court of record. The gold trim on the flag, if you'll Google gold trim on U.S. flag, go to the website that comes up. It says, get that gold trim off my flag. It tells you, per the military manuals, per presidential orders, etc., executive orders, when you put the gold trim on the flag, that court is now a military court. So I instinctively knew, I already knew, that's where we need to be, is creating a court of record. And I've studied what Michael Hamilton is doing, and being a guy who's helping 30 people in court, I absolutely agree with him. I'm absolutely following what he's doing, and I think everybody on this call needs to follow what he's doing, simply because that really is the way to go. And what he's doing is, I endorse it 100%. Doucette endorses him. Marshall Haywood endorses him. And guys, you need to go to his website. You need to sign up. Freecountry.com. That's the secret, guys. I yield.
And Marshall Townsend supports him.
I'm very humbled. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. And by the way, just so you all know, there is a member forum where we share our paperwork. If you have a case, you need to gain access to that member forum. There are two ways to do that. One of them is to pay $30 annual dues, which is typically running a lot more in a year because it's not automated like it should be. The other is to provide me an evidence that you are in fact a continental marshal, continental judge, active duty military, or grand jurist, and you get contributing member status, and you have access as so long as you hold that position. Because I think everybody who is working to defend a free country deserves all the information he has access to, he can get access to. And I yield.
Justice Hamilton, I actually mailed you mine because it's large, and I wasn't going to do 1 or 2 pages. So I mailed you my whole case.
I know.
A, B, C, and D.
That's right. And I've got my paper shredder ready. I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. Of course. I appreciate that. Yeah, I heard about. Yeah, you told me about your case. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a big one.
It's going to be a good one for you too.
Yeah, exactly. Any more questions? Okay, do we have any questions for the marshals tonight?
I have a question.
Yes.
When you're talking about a citizenship, when they said that about the Social Security, you can be a citizen or a national, but also I've heard you talk about you're not a citizen, you're a natural. Are you saying national or natural?
You're actually a natural born, but you're national in terms of your rights.
Okay.
A U.S. citizen you're a part of the system. You're still in the system. You're under their codes and statutes. You have to obey by their laws and their rules.
So isn't our goal to be a national, right?
Yes.
Because on the Exit the Matrix, the final thing, the code is 1481 is supposed to be the remedy to get Exit the Matrix. And then the title of that is losing nationality. So I don't want to lose my nationality, do I?
You're not going to lose your nationality, no.
Then what does the code 1481 have to do with exiting the Matrix?
That would have to be Doucette's answer on that, and I don't see him on here. Henry Roger.
I'll save that for tomorrow.
If I may.
Okay, yeah. He'll be able to tell you that. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, this is Toasted with Revolution News and Information. We are submitting a new structure to the public. It does cost a lot, but if you want to check it out, I did simplify the URL to everyone, and that URL is tinyurl.com/REVNEWS, the number 1. Enter. if you want to review that structure. And with that, I yield.
Maya?
Yes.
This is a chime in on the natural born national question that the lady had. We are natural born, but we're American nationals because we're of this nation. Whereas people from other nations, they're European nationals or Australian, you know, they're of that nation, but they're still natural born people, which is what we're trying to focus on, is getting the natural rights back, not only constitutional but natural. But you being of this nation are an American national, if that helps clarify anything.
And by doing that oath, it's not saying that you're not an American national. It's not saying that you're another nationality. It's not saying any of
I
that.
can clarify this. I think I can clarify this for you. Very, very simple.
Okay.
The Union of States established in the continental United States of America is called United States of America. You'll notice when you read that UCC code that it says United States, does not say United States of America. The term United States is actually a registered trademark of the corporation that was formed in 1871 called United States of America. You think they were trying to deceive somebody? So when you see in code anywhere the United States by itself, it is referring strictly to the corporation. So when you're reading UCC code or any other statute and it says United States this, United States that, it is referring strictly to the United States, Inc., not United States of America.
Actually,
does that help?
The definition on USC 8 specifically says the United States means the continental United States, and it doesn't even say Washington, D.C.
The term United States, if you look up in I can't remember which code it is, defines the term United States as a federal corporation.
United States Code Title 28, Section 3002.
There you go.
Yeah, but for the code section of 1408, there is a definition in the code section 8 USC that defines the United States as the continental.
However, the issue you have there is under common law there are no statutes, so that statute doesn't apply to me if I don't consent to it.
Well, I'm just
I don't care what it says.
I'm just saying that they were using that code as the remedy to get out.
You're right. I agree. I agree, and I don't jump through all those hoops like I said before because I'm a sovereign and I don't need to. I decide what I do. So the hardest thing for most people to grasp is that every single individual is his own highest authority. Nobody can tell you what you must do without your consent. Nobody. I can't tell you, you can't tell me. As long as you cause no injury in doing whatever it is that you want to do, you've committed no crime. And the hardest thing for most of us, because we've all been taught from day one, we got to do what government tells us and we got to do what somebody tells us. But the hardest concept that most people have a hard concept grasping, I am my own boss, I am responsible for everything I do, and I can do anything I want as long as I accept responsibility for my mistakes. And that is truly what we are as American nationals, American citizens even, not to be confused with U.S. citizens or United States citizens. There is a difference. And when you fully wrap your brain around the fact that you are your own sovereign, the courts have repeatedly held people are sovereign. That's what they meant by a free country. That's what they mean by freedom. Politicians talk freedom all the time, but the politicians aren't telling you the truth. They're not, the politicians say, we're defending freedom. Pay your income tax, get your driver's license, get your marriage license, get your fishing license, get your building permit, get your concealment, get this permit, that permit, whatever permit. But the fact is, you can't be required to do any of those. If you're a sovereign, how can you be required to get any of those things if you're your own highest authority? So once you get used to the concept that you are your own highest authority, you don't have to do anything, because the very first case that you're going to have against any government agent coming against you in court, you're going to order the state, the county, and everybody else to release you from their jurisdiction. And they will not be able to overcome your challenge. They never do. They never have, because they don't have it. When you challenge any government agency's jurisdiction, everybody in government that's involved is required by law to prove he has jurisdiction. I use 13 different case sites in my cases. Tom Benson said he's actually got 20 of them, and he's vetted 20 that says if jurisdiction is challenged, it must be proven on the record. And a judge who proceeds without jurisdiction commits a treason. That's actually a case site too. And as a matter of fact, if you go to a free country, under the income tax menu, there is a link to a case law reference. And as I find more cases I put up there that we can easily copy and paste into our documents, I'll put them there. But use those.
I just signed up. I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. How you?
Come on. Sell it.
Okay, any more questions?
Oh. Man. Go on.
Okay, do we have any more questions for the marshals?
I got a question. This is Marshall Wilson from California.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, I just piggybacking off of what Greg said, now that we're getting all the paperwork in order and we're claiming our status as American citizens or American nationals, what are we doing as far as being able to purchase firearms? Because any place that you go now to purchase firearms or long guns or anything, you need your social, and they got everything in the system.
Well, actually, that's not true. Some of them, they are still doing that, which is actually unlawful under their own codes. But example that in Clayton County here, I went up to a gun/pawn shop, and right there on the counter it says you do not have to have a permit to buy a gun.
What about the calling in? They said they got to call in and have you vetted first. I just finished coming back from Reno, and that's all they were saying back over there.
Well, when you're in issues or situations like that, then I would go to a private seller or a gun show. Because they do not have those.
Well, even at gun shows, you got to do that if it's a dealer that's selling. But there's plenty of you can buy. As a matter of fact, I purchased a firearm one time from a dealer at a gun show, but it was his own private handgun that I purchased, so there was no paperwork on that. I don't like having paperwork on mine too, because even though they say they don't track them, I don't trust them. They lie about everything else. Why aren't they lying about that too?
Right.
I yield. But private sellers is the way to go.
Private sellers.
Private sellers, okay.
Yep.
Okay, I yield.
If I may?
Yes.
This is Marshall Cote from New York State. What about the guns we already have that have paperwork attached to them? You know, we had to get NICS checks and all that other BS.
Well, the thing is, if you do not, and this is what people don't understand, I've got my concealed carry permit. I had that before I became a marshal, and I've said that hundreds many times. When I go and I show them my ID, the only thing they do is I have to, they give me a paper saying what the gun is, if it's a 945 AR, whatever it is. They list what it is, they list the price, and I sign that I'm buying it from them. That's all they do. And unless you go to a sheriff's department and register that gun, it is not registered. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think, were you asking about the weapon, the firearms that you already have registered? Is that what you're asking about?
Correct.
Okay. If they're registered, they're registered. Sell them and buy another one.
Can I give some advice real quick on that? And that is,
trade them.
Say this: if you have registered weapons and you have non-registered weapons, keep them completely separate. You understand? Like all the rounds for each one, keep them separate. So if for some stupid reason they come after those registered weapons, you don't have all of them sitting there. Do you get what I mean?
What about property rights?
For
U.S. citizens don't have property rights.
U.S. citizens. What about property rights? Your rights are whatever you claim they are.
They're my guns. Nobody's taking them unless they want the friggin' bullets first.
Well, that's one way to do it. Another way is to go take their houses. Because odds are, if it's just you and your house, they're going to probably have 60 of them outside firing into your house. You can't win that way, unless you call up a couple of hundred marshals to show up and help you, which eventually we'll be able to do. But in the short term, we can't do that. And just for clarification, they're not weapons; they're firearms. Weapons are an offensive tool, and firearms are defensive. We're defending ourselves. We're not attacking anybody.
Right. This is something that we're gonna have to deal with in a better way, because obviously a lot of us have a lot of money tied up in our what's in our gun safe. Yeah, in our firearms. Why should we allow anyone to take them, regardless?
Well, you don't have to. Look,
you don't live in New York.
Yeah, right. That's right.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
He was in Texas. It's one big red dot.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. There is a way you can handle this before they come and do it. What you do is very simple. What you do is you write the state police and ask them, what would you do if you caught me carrying a concealed pistol without a permit? They're going to write you back a letter and tell you all the harm they're going to do to you. And now you have what's called a justiciable cause. Now you file your action in a court of record challenging the state of New York's jurisdiction, the state police's jurisdiction, your county jurisdiction, and you're not going for damages because you haven't been damaged yet, but the result of your case will be you ordering them to release you from the jurisdiction. And the idea is to get them to update their computer.
Okay, can I call you, say, tomorrow? Can we talk about this? And then we'll write it down.
I am not available for about the next 4 days because I got work that's not been getting done. But send me an email at michael@afreecountry.com with your contact information, and as soon as I have time, I'll give you a call.
Thank you, Michael.
You're very welcome.
Okay. I yield.
You can also go on afreecountry.com and start scanning. And if you're a member, like Michael said, you can scan other people's paperwork, and that will, I'm telling you people, that will enlighten your brain, okay? So just give it a shot. It's free for all of us, so just do it, and just let's all learn together, all right? And I yield.
Well, that's a good point. There's a lot of information on afreecountry.com that will educate you on what your rights are and how to handle a lot of situations. But send me a copy of your filed, certified. Just send me so I can see that it's been filed. Because I don't, if you take an oath and you don't file it and you don't get your bond, you're not really a marshal. So make sure that you get it. Send me a copy showing that you're filed. Just email it to me that your oath has been filed, and I will give you free access to the member form. And all you got to do is start reading the paperwork. That's where we share our paperwork, because the idea is to help as many people as possible. So you can start reading some of these actions that have been filed, the writs of error and the rulings in the case, so you can see how they're laid out. So you don't have to wait until you can talk to me to start educating yourself. I mean, I'm up to my eyeballs, like Marshall Benson out in Vegas, as a matter of fact. But start doing your education instead of waiting to talk to me. I mean, I can help anybody with their case, but I expect everybody I help to learn. I'm not doing anything for anybody. I'm teaching you how to do it, because we need to be independent. And I yield.
Okay, do we have any more questions for the marshals?
Marshal Haywood, this is Chief Murray. Can we have a
Hey,
call
how are you
after this
doing?
call? Can we have a call after this call?
Maybe.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, do we have any more questions for the marshals?
This is Tom from Kansas.
Okay.
Is there any marshals in Kansas that I can talk to about a case I've been working on for quite a while?
I will have to check for that, sir. I've got a lot of people that are actually in the process of Kansas, but I'm not sure if we have any active on Kansas right now. If
Okay.
you'll get with me, if you'll email me, I will see what I can do to help you and get you to the right person for Kansas or someone that can help you with your situation.
Okay, I came on late. What's your email or what's your name?
It's Bella Haywood at gmail.com.
You said Bella, B-E-L-L-A?
Bella Haywood at gmail.com.
That's H-A-W-A-R-D?
No, it's Haywood.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll email you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. 10:13 Eastern Time. We got any more questions for the marshals at this point?
Marshall Wilson, one more.
Yes.
We do have the after call like we did last week on 866-802-2763. Unrecorded. It's just sitting around and talking. How you?
Thank you. Okay. Is there any more questions for the marshals?
I have one more. This is Marshall Wilson, California.
Yes.
Do we have a common law grand jury already set up in California somewhere, I read?
Yeah, yes, you do.
Where at?
If you will get with me, I will give you that information.
Okay. I yield.
Okay.
Hey, this is Tom Benson, Marshal in Las Vegas. I'm not far from you guys, so I'd be glad to assist you guys in any way also. I yield.
May I?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Marshal Cote again. Is there any common law grand jury set up here in New York?
No, we need y'all to start some up.
Okay. Michigan Jural Assembly, I could go to that website and get tips on how to maybe get this thing going up here.
Or you can email me and I can give you all that information as well. I've got all that information on how to get the jurist up, the jurist oaths. I've got the whole process of how to get your assembly going, everything.
Okay. You realize that I did this with National Liberty Alliance in the very beginning, and it was done totally incorrectly. So, this is going to be a big learning curve for me.
Right. Yeah, and like I told everybody, I'm challenging the marshals. If you don't have your grand juries up in your state, then, help get it going. And like I said, I do have that information. And I know in your case and in some other people's case that y'all got kind of burnt with that organization trying to get that going. But I do have that information on how to get that started. And if you get with me, I will get you that information.
All right. I'll email you.
Okay.
I yield.
Okay. Any more questions for the marshals? Like Tosa said, they do have a call that you can call on just to chit-chat after this. So if there's no more calls for the marshals, I'm going to do the countdown. We do have the Judges Marshals conference call tomorrow. That will be posted all over Facebook and everywhere as usual for the times and the same call-in number. It's just a different code, but that'll be there on my page, on Desette's page, on Revolution News page, all over. It's posted everywhere. So, last call for any questions for the marshals. 3, 2, 1.
Your conference recording has stopped.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.